so you can post it anywhere else. Are we on?
Oh.
Now we're on. Welcome, serious growthers and silverbackers. It's kind of one and the same. It's a transition. I've been talking to quite a few of you guys online. It's kind of nice to, it's very humbling to be talking to you because it's, you know, how many years ago did this all happen? Late 80s, early 90s? And we still have the cult following out there. Wow. That is pretty damn amazing for me. It impacts me more than you know. Well, I want to start something off today. It's on a sad note. I did a tribute to one of our serious growthers, Jerry Ward. He just passed away, 46 years old. If that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. I was talking to him about a product that he sells, and we were talking about that. He looked good. He was in good spirits. And it's like, how does that happen? Man. Hey, live your life. All you can do, really, I think, you know, being my age, because I'm constantly thinking about, I mean, when somebody like that goes, it's like, we're all just, life is fickle. It's really fickle, and you got to live in the moment as much as possible. And that's hard to do, especially when you're that type of person that is, you know, always trying to try to accomplish something. I'm that guy. I'm always trying to accomplish something. And sometimes I forget to be in the moment. And then when something like that happens, yeah, it brings me back to more reality. So anyway, Jerry, he was a good guy in the industry. I like Jerry. I was very drawn to him, as I'm drawn to people like him who stand for something. Jerry stood for something. Whether or not it was popular, Jerry stood for something. And that's been my stance and my philosophy for quite some time, is to stand for something. And if you can stand for something that you can back with science and physiology, but it's important to believe in something and stand for what you believe. Jerry wore his feelings on his sleeves. You knew where he was coming from. And you know, I've said it for quite a while. We need more guys in the industry like that. Those types of guys pass information forward, and that's what we need to keep doing. And that's the reason why I come on these lives and try to accomplish that and get to know some of you a little bit better in the questions that you might have. So with that being said, Jerry, I know you'll be in serious growth heaven. It's an awesome place to be. You'll still be kicking ass and taking names. I just wish you were still here. You take care, buddy. Okay, Carol, you got some questions today?
Yeah, so Myron said, what are your thoughts on full body training? I've been using your serious growth training methods for the last several years, but have gradually developed them into full body training 3 times a week. At first, it was brutal, but over time, my body has adapted and performed 3 sets per muscle group each session, and my strength and reps continue to go up.
Based on what you're telling me, Myron, I mean, look, you're getting results. Results at the end of the day, it's where it's at. Now, I will tell you this. First of all, to answer your question specifically, there's nothing wrong with full body workouts. But as it relates to putting on as much muscle as humanly possible, look, it's always about the stated goal. And obviously, when you're trying to put on as much muscle as humanly possible, you'll get a better result if you're training 4 days a week, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, because you can break down body parts that it doesn't. You're not going to have that chance of overtraining the body, and you can isolate. Look, our body is incredible in that it can multitask. But the truth is, your body will get a much better result if you can isolate body parts instead of doing a full body. but getting back to what we're talking here, you're getting the results I think that you're looking for. I'm only speaking about the stated goal being putting on as much muscle as humanly possible. You'll always get more out of it if you spread that out. But you know what? I've trained full body, and 3 days a week I think is a good amount of time to be able to do that, because if you were trying to train full body 4 and 5 days a week, I think you'd be in trouble. I think you'd be overtraining. I know you would. But 3 days a week, even though there was some time there for you to have to your body to adapt to that style of training, it sounds like you are, and it sounds like you're making really good results. So I would say, good for you. Stay right there 3 days a week and just see what you can get. Try to get the most out of your 3 day a week training full body. Totally fine.
Okay, so Joe says, what's the maximum time someone should stick to a training phase?
Based on the way your physiology works, I can tell you this: your body goes into a plateau. It enters a plateau at around week 3. And again, this is based on the fact, again, that we're answering is that you're on some kind of a training regimen. You start entering into a plateau at 21 days, roughly. And the plateau that you should stay in should be, so you enter in week 3. From my own experiences, I was able to stay in the plateau to about week 6. And I got to tell you something, I talked about this before. Plateaus are a necessary evil, and too many people avoid them like the plague. You have to understand the sweet spot is actually in those, what we call a plateau. The key is to not stay there too long. It's kind of like the sweet spot. Think of the sweet spot like on a tennis racket. It's really important to stay inside that plateau. But it starts happening about day 21. See, the truth is, your physiology adapts, the muscle adapts before or after what your mind's telling you. The brain acts as an organ, but it acts like a muscle. And people change their programs based on what the muscle in their mind is telling them. And in most cases, it's inaccurate information because you have to understand the physiology. The muscle doesn't fully adapt until about 3 to 6 weeks. So think about that. I mean, if you're changing too soon, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get the results, but you're not going to get you're not going to reach your full potential in getting those results. So 3 to 6 weeks, and then get the hell out of that plateau and make some nuanced changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
So it's another one from Myron, and he sent something, a photo like shot thing.
Uh-huh.
It says water is the main component of the body and represents approximately 76% of muscle mass. He's asking, everyone always seems concerned about how much protein we need to build and maintain muscle. What are your thoughts on what our water intake should be?
I think you're 100% right. I mean, it's a combination of things that you have to have happen to get the maximum result. So you're 100% right. If you don't have enough water in your body, you're dehydrated. Well, just think about that for a moment. You're not going to be able to perform at the highest level. So you're spot on. It's kind of the same thing when we talk about, in fact, I just talked about it today on a post that I did, about the 3 critical components that are responsible for changing the body in the most efficient way. It kind of falls in that same line. See, because if you only are doing one of the critical components, let's just say that you're just doing the training component, you're going to get results. Just like you're going to get results if you're dehydrated, you'll get some type of results. But when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together, being hydrated, having protein, now you're putting your body in a spot where it can excel to the highest level. So Myron, you're 100% right. We need to focus on hydration. And the thing about it is sometimes, we're so used to, I think most people, from my perspective, I think we're slightly dehydrated most of the time. And it's almost like a discipline where you have to keep taking in fluids. So that's a good insight for you, Myron. Yes, water is hugely important. Not only for performance, maybe muscle-wise, but it's also really excellent for when you're trying to actually eliminate body fat. Good question.
Okay, Brian said, Leo, what are some good alternatives to free weight squats if you are concerned from lower back issues, or should you just go lighter but more reps on squats?
I will tell you that a free bar squat is actually safer than a Smith machine squat. A lot of people don't know that. I mean, they think that doing a machine squat, because look, the truth of the matter is when you do free weight, the more that you can do free weight, I don't think it's a big secret in the industry, but the more that you can do free weight, you will get a better result. End of story. But we do have to work around injuries. So I would say this. I've not watched you do a free bar squat, so I don't know. But I can tell you this. In most cases, if the bar is that far off when you put it on your back, it can cause a lot of back problems if it's too high. And a lot of people that I've watched squat with the free bar, it is too high. So I would say, first, lighten your weight down. I would say make sure that mechanically and technically that you're sound. Look, the other thing that needs to be taken into consideration is how wide your stance is. If it's too wide, if it's too narrow. If one foot should be turned out a little bit based on the way your body is built. There's some factors there that cause the problem. When you're squatting down, you should be leaning forward in the upper body. Not straight. Not straight. That is not good form if when you're going down, your back is straight. It needs to be here. Your upper body needs to be here. Because then what happens is that all that weight that's coming down, your back is not what's taking the hit all the way. Now your glutes are involved. That's a major factor. So anyway, I would say if your form is 100% based on what I've just talked about, then maybe you should go to some equipment, the machines to do that. And there's nothing wrong with the Smith machine squat. I'm just saying that you're going to have problems with the Smith machine if you're not lined up in the proper way. Too many people are squatting too straight up and down.
Okay, John said, you write that compound exercises gives you the biggest bang for the buck, but take dumbbell curls for example. With alternating, I'm doing a set of 10 for each arm. Doing both arms together, I would do a single set of 10. If I do both arms together as opposed to alternating, is there a difference? That's a good question.
Yeah, very good question. Yeah. And here's the thing that I've always talked about. When I say doing compound is one of the best ways, part of that reason is the mindset, or the reason I'm saying that is that because when you do compound movements, you recruit more muscles, more energy and other muscles to that exercise. But at the end of the day, here's what really counts. Feeling what you train and the results that you're getting. So if I tell you that 75% of your exercises should be compound and you're feeling more of the alternating curls, then guess what? The alternating curls is your baby. There's no set routine, and there's no set percentage necessarily as far as how much compound versus isolation that you should do. As a general rule of thumb, I would say compound would be the way to go. But what you're telling me is that's when you start having to, you're thinking for yourself now. You're not just blindly following what someone is saying, and I think that's good. You've got to question everything. So again, pay attention to the results that you're actually getting, because the results are in the struggle, and it sounds to me that you're getting more out of that. As of right now, you're getting more out of that dumbbell curl possibly than barbell. So I would, if I'm you, I would for a while focus on dumbbell curls, alternating, and maybe do a compound movement behind that. For example, if you were doing like a set of 8 to 10 with your dumbbell curls, maybe I would do like a couple sets of maybe some high rep to finish off that muscle, something like that. Just something to think about. Good question. Very good question.
That's it for today.
That's it? Okay. That's for the questions today, but I want to talk about a couple things here. I want to talk about body fat loss. You know, for some of you that maybe have been following me on Instagram or going to my website at leocostajr.com, I've been talking about this weight loss program that I put together. I call it Lockdown. And the whole point of Lockdown is to lose as much body fat as possible and to improve one's metabolism within a 6-week period. That's just a part of what this is about, because this particular program that I'm talking about goes on and on. But one of the most important things that I want to tell you about this weight loss lockdown is that it's designed, it's 6 weeks. It's what a bodybuilder does 6 weeks out from going into a show to a large degree. The tactics that are being used are very aggressive, but they're very safe, and they're counterintuitive, which is where people get hung up, because if you don't have enough first-hand experience, you might think that the things that we do, we shouldn't be doing. But it's about tricking the physiology to perform at a higher level. For example, in my lockdown, it's broken down really into 2 phases. The first section is for 2 weeks, and I call that shock and awe. The point of that is to simply shock and wake up your metabolism. I drive you into fight or flight on purpose. And if you know anything about fight or flight, that's when you push the body to the edge without going over the edge. You want your body to perceive that it's under a threat. You just don't want to take it too far. So we do this for 2 weeks. That will shock your metabolism and wake it up again. When you're in fight or flight, your sensors on your body, everything is at a peak level now, which translates to your body is going to respond better, much better, and in most cases it's going to respond like you were when you were in your 20s, believe it or not. Now, the second section of this lockdown for the next 4 weeks, we start focusing now, we change our focus just a little bit. Look, in those first 2 weeks, we've got quite a few people that are doing this. There's a 100% success rate with this. You cannot fail on this as long as you have the right mindset and a functioning thyroid. You will not fail. We have a 100% success rate. In most cases, in the first 2 weeks, people are losing 10 pounds and 4 inches. And again, I want to just keep re-emphasizing that it's more about the quality of what you lose. I'm interested in weight loss, but I'm interested in fat loss. And we do know, bodybuilders know, that there's no possible way that you can just be on a program that just burns pure body fat. If anybody tells you that, they don't know what they're talking about. So in the first 4 weeks, 10 pounds and 4 inches. And then it gets better as we go along. Now, as we transition to the next 4 weeks, now we're starting to get in metabolism rebuilding. And that section is just what it says. I start rebuilding your metabolism to become even more efficient than it was, again, when you were younger, because our metabolism gets destroyed by various things, and especially when you get older. But you can turn that around if you know how to do that. And I implement caloric sequencing, how I implement your calories in a certain way to influence your metabolism to create more heat. That's all we're doing. And then we manipulate water intake. At times it's a lot of water intake. At times we take water away from you. These are all things that we do. And think about this. All we're doing is using food and water. Look, you don't have to have supplements. You don't have to be training if you don't want to. I mean, you're going to get a little better effect if you did that. But there's no special supplements, and if you're taking supplements, fine. But the point is, you don't need to. It's food and water, and you're going to get an unbelievable result. As people are increasing their caloric intake, believe it or not, they're losing even more body fat. The metabolism is on fire, and they keep burning. It's like your metabolism becomes a bonfire. It's hard to catch up to your metabolism when you're doing this. That's lockdown weight loss. One more thing that I'm just working on now for you guys, and I talk about. I sort of got this idea from the Atlas I forget what his name was, but something Atlas. He runs all those ads in Muscle Mag. He's been running them for years. And so what I'm working on right now is I'm saying, look, if you're that guy, if you're that skinny guy that's out there, and you're embarrassed to take your shirt off in public, especially at the beach, then I've got a program for you. I can transform your body in 3 to 4 hours a week. I can transform your body to where it's putting on more muscle that you've ever dreamed about. But you gotta know, again, it comes back to just like weight loss lockdown. There's a secret code here, guys and gals. It's in the 3 components. Inside those 3 components is the key to your success. Can you imagine only having to put in 3 to 4 hours a week and putting on more muscle than you've ever seen? It can happen. I wouldn't say this if I didn't do it myself. It can happen, but it doesn't just happen. There's always a process. Again, reach out to me. Give me a 15-minute consultation. I'll change your life forever. Other than that,
we got another question.
Oh, another question.
Myron said, I've seen several studies that the last few years saying that animal protein heals and repairs the muscles and tissue faster than other proteins. Do you have any preference?
Animal, definitely, 100%.
All right. Let's see. John said, I am on day 11, lost 12 plus pounds, still have energy on your lockdown.
John, you're a great example. And I'm going to lay out one of these times when we come back for another live. Everybody that's on this program has 100% results. You can't go wrong. And John, congratulations. And I know there's more to come. I already know where you're going to be. I've done this too many times. Congratulations, man. That tells me that you're following it exactly the way it's written. And there's more results happening. And we'll get back and we'll start letting people know about the overall results of all people. And I can tell you right now, I just went over this with Karen today. Everybody is making remarkable results in weight loss, fat loss, inches lost in a very short period of time. Keep up the good work. Okay, guys. Well, I guess that's it for today. Till next Thursday, go get some serious growth.